Hey guys, this is my first video I've ever made here. I came up with a new wizard build for Torment at 70 that I think you guys might like to see. So I'll go ahead and go over the build and the skills and then show you how it performs in the field here. So right away, these are my character stats. This is for T2 specifically. When I go to T4 to farm, I have about 13.4 million toughness and only about 400,000 damage. But for T2, this blend of damage versus toughness seems to be pretty good for me. As far as the gear, just kind of go over it here one by one. I have used the Enchantress to enhance almost all of this gear to make it just a little bit better. The whole build does revolve around this Moonlight Ward, kind of. So the arcane, it's an arcane build, and this arcane damage of 25% is absolutely insane, but it's really the secondary ability. So basically, I'm going to have these 4 orbs that are around me at all times, doing 278% weapon damage every second. It's a tank style build, so I really want monsters to be all around me. So this, you really can't do this build without this piece, I don't think. Arcane damage here as well. Stone of Jordan, again arcane damage, and the damage against elites is just absolutely huge. The Witching Hour, I can't find a better piece yet. Tyrael's Might is surprisingly amazing. Most of the adventure stuff that I do is against all demons, so it's a straight 14% and then another 4% on elites. So that's a plus 18% damage just against elites. And then the movement speed is very good for farming legendaries, which is what I'm currently doing. So the weapon is really good. I got this last night, super lucky, didn't have a socket. I was able to roll a socket on it first try with the Mystic, so I definitely got lucky there. These boots are also required. You do need that arcane torrent damage on there, and I was able to add that with the Mystic. So that's the gear. My resistances, as you can see, are between 1700 and almost 2000, so that gives me quite a bit of mitigation. I have 50% crit percentage chance, really important, because this build does a lot of small hits, so that's why I'm using this gem. The more I crit, the more arcane I get from this, and the longer I can stay alive in the middle of chaos. Let's go over the build real fast. So Magic Missile, just because I find this to be good for breaking breakables, and also it's arcane damage, which is necessary. The whole build revolves around Arcane Torrent and Standing Still. So I sit and I channel this in the middle of everything, and I use the rune to let all the other enemies have this chance to fire other missiles for a high amount of weapon damage. The Familiar, I know most of you guys are probably thinking, oh, you're losing 10% damage, but with this build, the whole idea is to have a ton of monsters all around me all the time. And this Cannoneer does AoE explosion of arcane, and all my stuff buffs the arcane damage, so it's insane. This is also required. However, you lose a lot of toughness with this. So I can go well over 10 million toughness with the arcane armor, but I can't continually cast near as long. So I use this because I need the arcane power cost reduction of 3. If you are having trouble farming, you might need to lower your difficulty, or you can switch to energy armor with the plus 25%, but you will not be able to perform as well as far as just sitting in the middle of stuff and casting, like I'll show you here in a minute. Also, this is really key. The whole build kind of revolves around Black Hole as well. So what I do with this is I kind of run into the biggest pack I can find, and I pop a Black Hole right on top of me. This rune makes them all hit less, and if I hit a bunch of enemies with my Black Hole, I get an enormous damage increase. I've gotten up to 26 enemies hit with this Black Hole, so 26 times 3%, straight off the top. I was critting for over 5 billion. That was really nice. But again, this is pretty important. I wouldn't recommend using arcane or anything else in this slot. Magic weapon, again, you might say I'm losing 10% damage, which I am, but you need the shield. The shield seems to proc off everything you do. Your just everything. Your familiar procs it, everything seems to proc it. So basically you're in a constant state of being shielded, which is necessary to survive at 70 in Torment 2 and above. For passives, again, no glass cannon, can't afford it if you're going to stay alive and do this build, so you do need blur. This is a new addition as of late last night. It's pretty crazy. So how it works with an arcane build is basically with an elite pack, they're taking 20% extra damage all the time. So, you know, that's pretty self-explanatory. Unwavering Will, this is the most overpowered ability that we have now with builds like this. I stand there and I get all of this bonus. Since I never move, this is up 100% of the time. And then obviously, I'm in the middle of hell, so I want the audacity too. If you're having problems with your resource management, you might drop elemental exposure for astral presence. That will help keep your stuff up, or potentially prodigy, so that when you do run out, you can get it back up quick with your magic missile. So that's the build right there. I will go ahead. Also, the follower, just give him whatever you can. You want him to stay alive. I give him a puzzle ring so that I can get a bunch of extra treasure goblins, and they spawn a lot, these treasure goblins, so it gives me a bunch of extra chances at legendaries. You want him fully defensive for you. You want him to be able to heal you, give you life per second, stun, and then resource management. So you really do need the Templar. None of the other followers is good enough. So let's go ahead and show you how this build performs. We will go to let's go to Halls of Agony level 3. And I do all this on adventure mode. It seems to be, here's a goblin right here. So pop the black hole, and then just watch it explode. Gather it all up. I don't really bother with whites so much unless there's a lot of them and I really have to kill them all. You always want to pop these things too because you need the crafting materials. So again, you just kind of stand here and channel, and everything's going to die around you. You're really strong, so you can just walk through all this shit. You don't have to worry about it. Also, for builds like this, you do want movement speed all the way up in case you do have to run away from a certain affix pack. It can get really brutal. So here we go. This is a perfect showcase of what this build can do. I'm just going to kind of stand here, right in the center, and do what this build does. Black hole, bring them all in. Okay, I have 8 times 3% damage bonus for right there. You get down a little bit. Just use your magic missiles to get your stuff back up. Alright, black hole again. Basically, you want a black hole whenever it's up. The black hole is completely insane, and it does everything that you want it to do with this kind of build. I mean, if you look at my health, I can't really die right now. So, you know, there you go. Able to get 148. Not too bad. This build is really nice for legendary farming, because you don't have to run away. There's no kiting involved. There's no you know, any of that bullshit where you're wasting time by having to maneuver around the map. Actually, at this point, I did get the bounty already, so I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here after I kill these things. We'll go to the next place. Let's try the Royal Crypts. I do want to show you guys some elite packs here so that you can kind of see how it works with something that's not just white monsters. Now this build does scale well as you gear up. I have another set of gear that I use for higher torments, and at those higher torments, Torment 3 is pretty easy. Torment 4 with my damage gear is rough. I can do it, but I have to run a lot, which is not the point of this build at all. You're not supposed to run away. So if you're running away, then you probably should drop the difficulty. There's a couple required pieces of gear for this build to truly function well, but as you get them, honestly, the Mystic is your friend. So drop it down to T1 or even Master if you have to. Alright, here we go. Here's an elite pack. So I'm just going to pop Black Hole, I'm going to stand right here in the center, and I'm just going to channel, and there's nothing that they can do. They just die. There's bracers that you can craft. I'll show you those at the end of the video. And these craftable bracers, whenever you pick up a globe, then it restores 30% of your main resource. So as you're standing in the middle of monsters like this, actually this is great. You can see Skeleton King fight with this build, so that's pretty good. But it restores 30% of your main resource when you pick up a health globe. So as you're standing there, you're getting lots of health globes, and you basically have unlimited arcane power. Alright, so this guy can hit kind of hard when he's doing that thing right there, so I do watch out for that. But go ahead and I should just be able to stand here for the most part. Since I don't have a lot of monsters, my arcane power does go down, so I do have to take a second to do this. Get it back up. Then we'll Black Hole again, and just rinse, repeat. So you can see the numbers there. Crits for about, you know, anywhere between 3 million and, oh, on this guy about 3 million is all, so nothing too crazy. But the build is really, really nice. We try Cemetery of the Forsaken. Might get a little more elite pack action going on here. Yeah, here we go. There'll be some elites in the crypt here. But those bracers, you get the legendary recipe for those bracers from Malthael. It's the only place that they drop. So you can, I think they only drop on Torment though, so you do have to kill them on Torment 1. And also, it requires a legendary crafting material, and he is the only guy that drops that crafting material as well. So, if you want, here's a name. So just Black Hole, channel. He has knockback, which is kind of annoying. Interrupts your channel, but you don't really care because you can't really die with this spec until you get into higher torments. Okay, and here's another pack. Alright, these guys are annoying, so we'll just pop a Black Hole here, suck them all in so they don't run away. And then there you go. And that's it. So now we'll go ahead and, well, we might as well just finish up the bounties. Then I'll end the video there. I'll show you some alternate gear that you might want to try out if you're having trouble. Right now, I've been tweaking my gear. Okay, these guys are really frustrating. I've been tweaking my gear quite a bit, and yeah, these guys might get me. Actually, okay, so pop it. Watch out for that. Pop the Black Hole. As you can see, I have that little shield up constantly. You're gonna have to pop a potion with big monsters like this every once in a while. I've been tweaking my gear pretty extensively. I had a lot more toughness and a lot less damage early yesterday morning, but with the help of the Mystic, I was able to maximize my damage on the gear set without really losing a whole lot of toughness. The Stone of Jordan took me 50 tries to re-roll in order to get crit chance on it. It just did not want to pop. But once I got it, it made all the difference. So the Stone of Jordan is the only ring in the game, as far as I know, that can have arcane damage. And this, as you can see, this whole build is arcane based. The only thing that would make this build completely unstoppable is a weapon that actually has arcane damage on it. But short of that, I think I'm in a pretty good spot right now. Just keep your buffs refreshed. It's times like this where that movement speed is really important. See, here's a lot of monsters. This could get a little sticky. This is where your toughness really comes into play. Those guys, when they charge, they still hit you really hard. But when there's a lot of monsters like this, I'm gonna die right now. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I got a little greedy there. I shouldn't have ran into that.
I'm just warming up.
We'll go ahead and... Really, there's no value in killing Greys right now. They're not dropping legendaries, as far as I can tell. Very, very rarely, if any. We got about... My buddy and I got about 14 legendaries last night in 3 hours doing T2 adventure mode. So, here we go. Here's the name. Let's just go ahead and pop that. This is going to get a little rough, actually. Also, I do recommend popping these guys. I do recommend popping. See, so when you get the black hole like that, it's just insane. But I do recommend picking up all blues. We just have one left. I do recommend picking up all blues and disenchanting them. You're going to need the arcane dust. Because until you are basically decked out in full legendaries, the crafting items are still the best. And you can get some really good affixes when you utilize the mystic. Okay, so I'm full right now. So gotta go back to town real fast. But I do this. I pick up every single item and I disenchant it. Just because I don't really need the gold right now, but I do need the materials. You always want to take a look and see, because now with the Enchantress, if it's one affix off, it's worth keeping, and then you can just reroll that affix and get there. But these are all pretty poor. That's a really good boot if you want to try out the Disintegrate build, which is a thing, if you have the Slovox Madness. But I'm not running that right now. Okay, let's make sure I repaired. Alright. Let's get back in there. And I'll show you guys the Heraldric chest. I've gotten a few legendaries out of them. They seem to be pretty good. I do open up every one of those gray treasure chests too. I've gotten quite a few legendaries just out of those treasure chests. So here we go again. This is going to be really rough because he does fear. Oh, that wasn't too bad actually. So my magic missile right there, if you saw that crit for 645 million, that's really nice. So I do like to see these altars, because I have these bracers. So I just equip the bracer, re-equip, and then a pack spawns. These guys are shielding. This is not good. So that's why you want to have that Templar, because he can get you out of a sticky situation. He just healed me right there, kept me alive. The build's not very good at killing things. They're spread out. So you really want to try to keep everything as close to you as possible. Not really going to mess with all these guys right now. I haven't seen a legendary off of a weapon or armor rack yet. I don't know if they can. I just haven't seen one. Sorry, I know this is a little bit boring here. Trying to find a cave.
You dare attack me?
At Kayano's Lost Wagon right there, there can be an event. That's pretty cool. You want to make sure any events as you're going through here. Oh, there's a treasure goblin. Alright, so we'll just pull a black hole. He's not immune to the black hole's effect. And that keeps him from getting away from you.
You dare attack me?
Treasure goblins I have had a ton of success with on legendaries. Here's a pack right here. These guys are Molten Desecrator, kind of rough. I can stand in it for the most part, but you know, you can move a little bit and save yourself a lot of grief. Alright, we're trying to go down here. Here's the cave. Oh, see, I missed a... Oh, no. Thought I missed a treasure goblin right there. Your Templar's going to die a lot, but that's fine. I haven't been able to get him any really amazing gear so far. So this bounty, we have to eliminate all the enemies in level 2, so I'm going to kind of just run past these guys. Make sure you get this pools right here. I have been able to do this build without this legendary weapon. It was working just fine. You can get a good one-hand 2,000 damage with a socket just off of white monsters. I've gotten 2 so far that were 2,015 damage and 2,042 damage, one-handed rare, that had intelligence and a socket. So it's definitely doable, and it's actually pretty common. There's another goblin. They just blow up, so not really have to really worry too much about them running away from you when you have black hole. Also, another really cool part of black hole. This is going to be bad, I think. Another cool part about black hole is it keeps monsters from blocking you in. When they get sucked into the hole, you can then walk around them as if you were whirlwinding like a barbarian. So that's another good way to get away if you have to. You can just black hole and run. Because obviously we don't have any way to escape with this build. We're just killing. Alright, so we'll pop the bracers. And there's so much damage ticking right there that you can't even keep track of what's going on. Also, when my screen shakes, that's the necklace proccing. You don't really care about reflex damage anymore. They seem to have nerfed that into the ground. So I wouldn't really be concerned about reflex damage at all. Especially with a build like this. Alright, there's 3 enemies remaining. We're about to finish this up. I'm not sure what our time on the video is, but not too long, I think. We're missing one little guy. He's probably up here. There he is. Okay, so now just port back to town. No legendary on this run, unfortunately. We might get lucky with Tyrael here. Might get one in the cache. Gotten multiple. No, nothing this time. Okay, so again, if you're having trouble staying alive, there's some options for you. These are the bracers I was telling you about. They have high intelligence and vitality. They always roll armor, unfortunately, it seems. But health globes restore 28% of your primary resource is insane. The only reason I'm not using them right now is because the 14% arcane damage is too strong to ignore. It just goes too well with this necklace. But if you are having trouble surviving, you can use, if you get your hands on this helm, Blind Faith. Since we are standing in the center of all the monsters and we're doing multiple hits, the 27.9% chance to blind just makes them miss when they attack you. So they're basically always blind. You're not really taking any damage to melee hits, which is nice. Also, this is just a pretty defensive helm that I was using for a long time until I was able to modify the one I currently have with 5.5% and crit chance. I might take the Blind Faith and actually try to re-roll the regenerates health into crit, but it requires really expensive mats in order to do that, and I haven't saved those up yet. If you can get your hands on Stronger Embracers, are pretty good now. You can do some knockbacks with your necklace, actually knocks enemies back sometimes, so that would give you some good defense. Also, you can stack resist all. So like this is a perfect helm without a socket, but it's really good for this build. The resist all could be vitality, it'd actually be a little bit better, but I'm considering using this because the arcane torrent, that's our entire build, so it might be worth using that. Rings, keep your eyes out for this ring right here, Eternal Union. So much toughness. With this ring and this Broken Promises ring, I'm able to hit almost 14 million toughness. Also, Squirt's necklace is really good for survivability too. If it rolls with arcane damage, you just win. You can get there, but it's hard to get rid of the Moonlight Ward. Really, what I'm looking for is level 70 Moonlight Ward, and this build will be unstoppable. If you're trying to survive a little bit, this Pride's Fall. This thing is cool if you're going to play a range spec, Arcane Orb. Because basically you're not going to be taking a lot of damage because you're keeping them slowed and you're running away. So your Arcane Orb costs 30% less all the time, which is completely bonkers. And then just look out for other items that have the stats you're looking for as far as the all resist. Really, you need vitality on every single piece of gear though, in order for it to be able to do how I'm doing it there. But like this ring as an example is a really good ring for survivability if you need that. I could also re-roll that damage into vitality and it would be a ton of extra toughness. So anyway, that's the build. Make sure you guys are killing all your goblins and picking up all your gems, and you'll be able to get these gems. I was able to get 3 of these diamonds, and I have the max gem in the helm for 23% life, and I have the max gem in the weapon for 130%, and I have the max gem for the red, which I was testing that out in the weapon, but after you get above 40% crit chance, the crit hit damage gem outperforms the straight damage. If your crit hit chance is less than 40% though, stick with the red ruby. I'll go ahead and link my character sheet in the video here. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to comment on the thread or send me an instant message and I will be more than happy to explain in any more detail if you guys have questions. Alright, thanks guys. Take care.